Good afternoon. Good afternoon. You're on a don't give hour with the adaptive sports episode. This is our third episode. We have Jason Koger on our show.
Yes.
He is an extraordinary man, and we are
How are
so
you all
glad to
doing?
have him on here.
Absolutely.
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you all?
Everybody that's out there, I'm Sylvester Poe of the Adaptive Athlete Podcast in conjunction with Don't Give Up Hour with my friend and my brother, my co-host Travis. Um, and we're here with Jason. And Jason, real quick, if you can, for the audience that's watching and listening, give us a quick intro, man, of your name, city, ethnic group, nationality, um, and disability.
Yeah. So my name is Jason Koger, and I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky. So that's Western Kentucky is where I live, and I'm a bilateral arm amputee. I was back in 2008. I was electrocuted and I was riding a four wheeler, ran into a down power line, took 7,200 volts of electricity. And in order to save my life, basically, they had to amputate both of my arms. I became the first person in the world with two bionic hands in 2008. And before my accident, I always enjoyed to hunt and shoot, just anything archery outside, fishing, all that kind of stuff. And man, after I got hurt, I thought, at first I thought probably would never be able to do that kind of stuff again. And I'm sure we can get into this later on. But a month after my accident, I harvested my first turkey with a shotgun. I had no prosthetics, and then from then on, man, I just started to kind of get back into the archery side of it. Obviously, I started out with firearms first, and then got back in the archery side of it, and been sponsored by 10-point crossbows, and I end up becoming the first person in the world to kill a bear in Canada as a bilateral arm amputee with a crossbow. And 3 years ago, I harvested the 16th biggest whitetail in the state of Kentucky, which is a pretty big accomplishment, even with guys with a hand. Sometimes that's pretty rare and doesn't happen very often. So I've done some pretty big things ever since then.
And for Jason, those those who know what whitetail is, tell us what it is, because some of us don't know what it is.
Yeah, so in Kentucky we have whitetail deer. They score them by the size of their antlers. Is basically how they do it. Is how many inches. So the deer that I killed, he scored 187 and 7/8. So that means he had 187 and 7/8 inches worth of antlers on top of his head. So the bigger it is, and you think about that. That's 187 inches is that's a lot of bone, a lot of antlers. We also have turkey in the state of Kentucky, and so we have whitetail turkey, and then the normal, rabbits, squirrels, just the normal kind of animals that are around pretty much anywhere. But our biggest big game animal is whitetail deer.
Okay. And real give us like a early childhood upbringing, kind of like the lead up story to who Jason Koger is, and how he became the man that he is today.
Yeah. So in my family was, obviously my mom and dad, and then I had an older sister. And I was raised up on my grandfather's farm. So I live on 2,300 acres of corn and soybeans, basically. And, I tell people all the time, back in 1984, my mom and dad decided they wanted to start their own construction company. And my dad had $1,500 to his name. and it took a lot of work and a lot of dedication. We lived in an old farmhouse whenever I was first born and didn't have a whole lot of stuff. And my mom and dad started with basically nothing and started this construction company and was very successful. So even though I didn't realize it then, and I realized that after my accident, that, you can take anything and make something out of it if you have the right attitude and the determination to do that. And, I was very fortunate to watch my mom and dad do that my entire life. And my grandfather, he passed away a couple months before I got hurt. But my grandfather was actually a single arm amputee. He got his left arm caught in a corn picker when he was 29 years old and lost his arm. And even though I never got to talk to him about his disability, because, man, I watched my grandfather do everything. I mean, he still drove tractors, picked up hay. We did tobacco. Like, I watched him do it all with one arm and one prosthetic. And I wish that I had that opportunity to really talk to him about, upper limb prosthetics. I don't know where he went. I didn't know anything about it. I really, to be honest with you, I thought, my grandfather was the first upper amputee in the entire world, is what I thought, because he's the only one I ever seen. And when I got hurt, I literally felt like I was the second person in the world to ever lose an arm, and much less, losing two arms. And since I've been injured, I've realized that there is a bigger community of, disabled upper limb amputees, lower limb. I mean, man, I meet people all over the country now, and realize that I'm not alone. And the way I was raised too, in the country and in Owensboro, my whole community, they help people all the time. They are very giving, and I learned a lot of that from them. And I feel like when I got hurt, my whole goal was I wanted to be the best prosthetic user in the world. That was my goal. But also I wanted to reach out to every single arm amputee, leg amputee. I don't even care if it's somebody that has never lost a limb. I just want to share my story and show people that, you don't have to give up, that life is still great. People ask me if I could go back to 2008 and that accident never happened. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't go back to that day. And it's not because of what I've done. Is I don't live in the past. I live in the present, and I look in the future, and I don't dwell on what happened, good or bad. I just, things happen. I was dealt this card, and time to move on.
Okay. Would you say that by you finding out, or by you seeing your grandfather go through his situation, that kind of gave you comfort after your accident? That you were able to do anything?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think about him a lot on how he did what he did. But I think my biggest inspiration, or my biggest thing that pushed me forward the most, is my family. When I got hurt, I had two daughters, and my oldest was 21 months old when I got hurt, and my youngest was 3 months old. So today I got a 16-year-old, 15-year-old, and now I have a son that's 11. But whenever I'm laying in my bed and I heard those little feet running up down the hallway, I knew that, it was time for Dad to get up and show them that I was going to overcome what I went through. And, I really feel like, and not only them, I think the number one thing is my faith. You know what I mean? Like, I've always gone to church. I was raised up in church. I've always believed, and I try not to push somebody from. And I don't really know how to say this. I mean, I want everybody to know Jesus. You know what I mean? I want everybody to know that He's real. But I'm not going to push that on them. I think that the way I live my life, people realize that I am a servant, and that I believe. And I feel like sometimes when people see me, if they don't believe, maybe they will follow behind me, just knowing that, what I've been through and what I've done. And I think my grandfather, I guess, to answer questions, I think that helped me out a lot. But I think my faith was number one and my family was number two.
Okay. Well, since you already started getting into it, um, tell the audience and us a little bit more of that transition, because you said you had your two of your children before you had your accident. And that was kind of some of your inspiration and push to show them that you can overcome. How was that transition from, saying being able to hug your daughters and having to relearn how to do different things like feeding them and changing and things like that, your daily parenting skills that you would have to do?
Yes, when I got hurt, I was supposed to be in the hospital for 2 months at least. And I didn't want to be in the hospital that long. I didn't want my kids to see me in the hospital that long. So I did everything I could do to get out, and I ended up leaving the hospital 12 days after losing both my arms, and that's all I was in the hospital was 12 days. But my doctor came in and told me he wanted me to set a goal that I had for life, whether it was feed myself, dress myself, whatever a goal was that I wanted. And man, I remember telling him the very first day that if I could hold my kids, that's all I cared about. I didn't care if I was ever going to be able to put my own clothes on, brush my teeth, comb my hair, dress myself, feed myself. Like none of that mattered. And I knew that if I could hold my kids again in my arms, that eventually everything else would just kind of happen. And, whenever I got home, man, I just, I failed. And I love when I tell people that I failed at everything I did hundreds of thousands of times. I think failure is one of the best things that we can all go through. I think that as long as you have that determination, there's nothing wrong with failure. And I had the determination that every time I failed, I was going to try to figure out, how I could accomplish whatever I was trying to do. And every single day, man, that's what I did. And then, I also noticed that I probably got the best wife you could have. I was 29 years old when I got hurt. My wife was 27, and the easiest thing for her to have done was walk out and leave. And I didn't want that. So, when we said our vows, we said, for better, for worse. And we both meant that. And we both pushed forward together. And I noticed that, when I first got her home, my wife would feed my oldest daughter, and then she would feed my middle daughter, then she would feed me. Well, my food was cold by the time I ate, and then she would feed herself. So I know her food was cold. And same thing with, taking a bath. Like she would bathe my daughter, my other daughter, she would bathe me. And then by the time it was time for her to take a shower or take a bath, she was too tired. She was just wanting to go to bed. And I noticed, I think that's another thing we got to do. Some people, I think they feel sorry for themselves so much that they don't see that there's other people out there that are hurting as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like, once you realize that there's other people out there hurting, I mean, I knew my mom and dad was taking it rough. My kids were taking it rough. My wife was taking it rough, that it was up to me to start relieving that pressure off them. And the only way you can do that is change your attitude and change your life and start getting better and be willing to fail. I mean, fail and figure it out and keep going.
Okay.
So what you're saying is that your mindset was one that I'm gonna make it, no matter what goes on, no matter what I face, no matter what I see, no matter how I feel, I'm gonna make it because I have to, for my family and for myself.
Absolutely, man. I mean, setting your mind is probably the biggest thing to be successful. I mean, the number one thing to be successful is changing your mindset. And I tell people all the time, to be a successful upper limb amputee, it's 99% mental.
Yes.
Now, was there at any point, because you also speak of your faith, was there any point where you felt like your faith was ever shooken?
No, not really. I mean, man, literally when I woke up, so I was in an induced coma for 3 days, and my dad walked in the room, and he was one that explained to me that they had to amputate both of my arms. And the first thing he told me when we was laying in that bed, before he told me I didn't have my arms, was, I don't know how we'll get through this, but I know we have faith and we will figure it out one way or another, and may take some time, but we will figure it out. And man, I don't know why, but my whole entire life, I've always known that that God will push us one way or another. And I accepted that it's going to be hard, and I accepted that I was going to have a lot of challenges and a lot of pain. And I tell people all the time, like, God did not sentence us to pain and trials. God trusted us with it. You know what I mean? Like, he knows. I mean, look what he went through, and he knows that we can get through it if we just set our mind to it. So, he doesn't try to give us pain because he wants to. He just wants us to show others that what we can or what we're capable of.
Okay. Okay. And the other thing was, you said you was only in the hospital for 12 days. I did some research, and I read on your website that you taught yourself how to drive, like almost immediately after you got out the hospital.
I did. So 12 days after my accident, I came home, and my wife actually went to town to go get some groceries, and my mom was sitting there with me, and I told my mom, I said, where's the keys to my truck? And she said, what do you need to use your truck for? And I said, I want to go outside and see if I can figure out, what I can do. And so I remember her putting the keys in my mouth, and me going outside and just trying to figure out how to open the door. And I don't remember if it took me 20 minutes or if it took me 2 hours to get in the door, but I eventually opened the door and got in the truck. And then once I got in, I started it up. And then after I started my truck up, I thought, man, I'm going to drive around the farm. And, I knew better than to drive down a main highway or whatever. And I just stuck my nubs. I didn't have prosthetics, so I stuck my nubs in the steering wheel and just kind of, turned. And, man, I drove the very first day I got home. So 12 days after my accident, I drove around my grandfather's farm.
Okay. The other thing is, a lot of the things that we're talking about, I would believe is also in your book. But you also have a book. Tell people about your book that you have out and how you're using that to help encourage others and give them encouragement to never give up.
Yeah. So for a long time, people have been wanting me to write a book, and things has happened since 2008 that has really blown me away. And just to see how doors open up and the people we meet, and I could tell you so many stories that ain't even funny. But when I first became an amputee and got fitted with the bionic hands, I was getting calls from people all over the country about how prosthetics worked, and other amputees or prosthetists or therapists. And I had a really neat opportunity to do an episode on Hawaii Five-0. I did the Hookman episode on Hawaii Five-0. Got asked to do that, and became really good friends with some of those actors, and like RoboCop from the 80s and Alex O'Loughlin and some of them. And then I ended up being on CNN, and I was on Dr. Gupta. I've been in a movie with Matthew McConaughey. I was in an Apple commercial. I was on the Super Bowl. And then I asked RoboCop to come to Owensboro to hang out with me one time. And he flew to Owensboro, and I had a party. And I called the party handing back is what I called it, and charged $10 per person to get in, and end up raising about $18,000, and I gave $18,000 to 7 different local charities, and then the second time it was 21,000, and I gave it to all the elementary schools in my hometown for Christmas Wish, and stories just kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and every time I was telling people all the doors that had opened up, everybody just like, man, you need to write a book about this. Like, you need to tell people the story. You need to tell people about the whole accident, how you were raised, why you think the way your upbringing has helped you, and your faith. And so, during COVID, I always thought, like, why is my story so big? And it's not. I mean, everybody has a story. I just decided that during COVID, I had time, that I was going to write a book, and I was going to put it out there for people, to share with others. And I wasn't going to do it for an income or for, make me famous or whatever. Like, I didn't do it for any of that. I just wanted to be able to put a book out. And if somebody wants to be inspired or encouraged, that, they pick up the book, and hopefully it would help them out. And so for 2 years on COVID, I really got to sit back and think about my life and what I've done, and what the experiences that I went through, and some of the opportunities that I've had. And I wrote this book mainly just to show others that you don't have to quit. Just like we was talking about earlier, I talk a lot about my faith in this book, and I explain, I share several stories, and I got a lot of people in the book, like RoboCop, explaining what it was like to be around, an amputee. And so it's been really neat, man. I ordered 750 copies of books, and I've sold probably right at 600, 650, and, fixing to have to make another order. So I think, it went well so far. And again, it's not for me to be famous or make money off of. It's, actually, I'll probably take the money and do something really cool with it one day. I mean, just like I always do. That's just how I do things. But I was in Orlando last week, just sitting at an airport in Atlanta, fixing to come to, Owensboro, and I was sitting next to a guy from Australia, and his first time he came to the States, and we got to talking, and he was a cotton farmer and in Australia. And I said, man, I got a friend that lives in Missouri, in Hayti, Missouri, that's a cotton farmer, and pretty big farmer. And we got talking back and forth. I said, man, that guy's on, my buddy, he's on TikTok. He does a lot of videos of how he harvests, cotton and cotton gins and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, oh man, that's cool. I'd like to follow him. And so anyway, I looked his TikTok up, and I gave it to the guy, and he looked it up. And as soon as he looked up, he's like, man, I already follow this guy. Like, this is super cool. So, it's just such a small, that like every time I turn around, I hear stories like that. So here I am in Atlanta, Georgia, talking to a guy in Australia about a friend of mine in Missouri, and they know each other. Like, it's such a small world. And all it takes for people to learn a lot about each other is sitting back and talking to them, and not being in your own world. I mean, our phones and iPads and all that, man, that ruins us, and it's all about sitting down and talking and carrying a conversation with somebody.
Yes. And if you could tell anybody that might be listening right now that might have a disability, or just might be going through anything in life, what would that be?
Man, I would tell anybody that your story's not over, and the only person in control of your story is yourself. And if you want to rewrite your story, man, that you got to make it up, and you got to do it. I feel like a lot of people, whenever they go through something, like cancer, let's just say cancer, cancer shouldn't be somebody's story. You know what I mean? Like, their story should be what, I feel like their story should be how they overcame cancer, or how they got cancer and what they're going to do about cancer. my story is not about me being an amputee. My story is about how I went through a traumatic event and how I turned it around into something greater. I mean, just, look at the name of my book, Handed a Greater Purpose. Like I truly feel like God has given me a platform that I've never had before, and I'm gonna use that platform, and I'm gonna make it the best that I can.
Right. Travis, you got anything you want to say to him?
Man, I just want to say, man, thank you so much, because you fit this. You fit the topic of this. It's called the Don't Give Up Hour. You didn't give up, man. You just kept on pushing, kept on striving, and I'm so glad that you did, because if you didn't, you would not be here talking to us today. And one thing, and I got two things from you. I got that our life experiences prepare us for our future, and I also got that when bad things happen in our lives, they're not bad. Everything happens in our life is for our good. The good, the bad, and the ugly, as I say. The good, the bad, and the ugly are meant to grow us. They're meant to make us stronger. They're meant to just give us give us the power to overcome.
Yep.
All right, that's how we get to the fun stuff. You're also a hunter, right? And we talked about it a little bit earlier in the episode, but I want you to now kind of deep dive a little bit more into exactly what it is that you use, what it is that you do, your regiment,
Can you turn off that?
and how you came to how you came to fall in love with hunting.
So, growing up, my dad never hunted. He never had time to hunt just because he was starting his construction company, and I got to spend a lot of time with my great uncle. And my great uncle lived a couple counties over, and my dad actually bought my great uncle's farm, and he raised a lot of tobacco and a lot of cattle. And my dad loved messing with cows too. And so at a very young age, we bought this farm and had about 100 head of cattle. And I was spending every weekend growing up with my great uncle, and he always hunted. He was a big rabbit hunter, and then he got into deer hunting. And man, I just spending time with him, I just fell in love with the outdoors, anything in the outdoors. And I truly fell in love with the sport of hunting and trophy hunting. And I'm not the kind of person, I think when people hear the story, some people don't like hunters because they think that everything that I harvest, I eat, or I give to somebody to eat. Like, I don't just shoot something just to shoot something and throw it in a ditch. It don't work. I use absolutely every bit of what I harvest. And I just got, I fell in love with the rifle side of it, just shooting, hunting, whatever. And then I got into archery, and then after my accident, archery's super hard. I can shoot a bow, but it's a lot harder. And then I really got into crossbows, and man, I would much rather harvest something with a crossbow because, it's a little bit more of a challenge. And, but even more now, like, I enjoy taking people. I enjoy showing people the outdoors, not only just hunting by myself, but like today, I went out and sprayed, and I do food plots, and I hang deer stands, and, I got run trail cameras and mineral licks. And I mean, I enjoy just spending time in the outdoors, man. It's not about the harvest all the time. And, the year that I killed my big whitetail, I started getting pictures of that deer early in the year. And I knew that was one specific animal that I wanted to kill and harvest. And man, I hunted so much and so hard. And, anytime the weather was right, the wind was right. The day I harvested that deer, It was the very last day of deer season, last afternoon. It was below zero. It was snowing. It was cold. Man, it's hard, but you sit in a deer stand for hours and hours, and there's no telling how many hours I spent in that deer stand seeing other deer, and finally got that encounterment with him, and made a great shot and watched him fall. Man, at the end of the day, it's makes you feel good that you put that much time and that much work into harvesting what you want to harvest.
Yeah, and just the patience, because hunting takes a lot of patience.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
only imagine seeing something like that you've always wanted to harvest, and the excitement that you're probably feeling on the inside as you have to be very patient and precise on your shot.
Absolutely. I had actually my good friend of mine was with me, and he was sitting right beside me. He actually filmed it, and there's the videos on YouTube. And me and him, we got to experience that together. And man, it's when you hunt something like that. Sometimes when you try to hunt something that big, they're almost like a ghost. You know what I mean? It's you see a lot of pictures of them, and you never know if that deer is actually in the area or not, because you very seldom see them. I mean, deer have great eyesight and great nose, and you got to hunt the right wind. You got to know which way they're coming from and make sure they don't see you, smell you, and man, you try to figure out. You actually try to figure out how that particular deer lives and where he lives at, and you try to get in his back door, get in his bedroom, and man, sometimes it's a struggle.
Yeah. Was it hard for you not to go like, oh my God? Like
yeah, I was man, with my buddy, I was looking to my left actually, and that deer came from the right. And whenever he said, dude, that deer is right here coming out of the woods, I said, there is no way. And he said, yeah, don't turn yet. He's looking. And man, my heart was thumping. And he come in, and I'll be honest with you, it was kind of a long shot. He was probably about 40, 45 yards, and that's kind of pushing it on making a good, clean shot. And that's the other thing, man. I will not try to shoot something or harvest something unless I know that I can hit it. I ain't gonna just say I hope I hit it. Like, I'm 100% confident that it's gonna happen. And man, if that deer would have waited 5 more minutes, I would have never had the opportunity, because it was starting to get dark. And man, 5 more minutes, I wouldn't been able to see him or even get a shot at him. So it all worked out just perfect, man. He stopped right in front of me, and a good broadside shot. And man, when I hit him, I knew that it was a good shot as soon as I hit him. And I watched him run 30, 40 yards and lay right over. I mean, it was he was probably dead running.
How hard was it to shake off those nerves as you holding that crossbow?
Man, I was really, really, I don't know. I kind of calmed down once I shot, because I knew that it was a good shot. Like I just was in disbelief that it happened. My grandmother passed away a few months before that happened, and I took off for, a week and a half, 2 weeks, whenever we was going through her funeral and all that kind of stuff. And I was almost done for the year. I was like, man, I've tried. And a lot of people don't know, but towards the end of season, whitetails, they lose their antlers every year, and then they grow back during the summer. And late January, man, in the cold, they really start dropping their antlers. And when I first seen him, that was one of my biggest fears, that if I see this deer, he's liable to not even have his horns on him anymore, because it's so late in the year. And man, he was perfect. I mean, he still had all his stuff, and a lot of the bucks that we had here that I was seeing, they were starting to, just have one side and starting to drop. And man, I told somebody, I said, man, there's no way I'll get a shot at him this late in the year. I mean, I've hunted this deer since September. I mean, you think how many months and every other day in a deer stand since September. Why would it happen on the very last day of season, the last 5 minutes? But it did. So, I mean, it was amazing.
Man.
Yeah. And what you said, that's from us. You said you don't shoot nothing unless you know unless you're gonna hit it.
Yep, that's right.
Now
I
in
think.
life, we do the same thing. We should
Yep.
shoot at stuff that we're going to hit. A lot
Yep.
of us are going for things that's out of our range.
Yep.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
A lot of us are going for things that's not for us.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
No matter how we shoot at, no matter how we try, we're not gonna get it.
That's right.
So, like you said, go for what you can get.
That's right. And you know, and also like uh, a lot of people will try to harvest something, and I mean you can always miss too. But I'm whenever I try to harvest something, I know that I have a great chance for it, and it still goes back to that failure stuff too. Um, you know, I knew it was within reach, and if I would have missed that, a lot of people miss deer too, you know, or whatever they're trying to harvest. But knowing in their mind that it's a possibility and it's reachable, it's out there. Um, you know, sometimes you got to take a chance, and knowing that you got the ability to do it, but sometimes it don't work out either. I mean, that worked out nice for me, but I haven't harvested everything I've ever shot at. You know, if I did, then I wouldn't be a hunter because a lot of hunters they fail too. So, but I don't try to take a lucky shot and just wonder if it's going to happen or not. I mean, I typically you feel very comfortable in trying it, and then you try, and if it don't work out, you still feel good about the opportunity you had.
Would you say, would you would you say, not even would you say, how long would you say did it take for you to learn that part?
Man, I watched my dad for a long time. Try to shoot for the stars, you know, and everything that he tried to do, he accomplished. Him and my mom. So, man, you know, a lot of people told my dad from a very early age on when he wanted to go out in business for himself that you know he would never make anything out of it, and he I think he showed everybody that that's not always the case, you know, and it doesn't matter how much money you got or the resources you got. You know, if you work hard, man, things are. He knew he could reach those goals that he had, and he just went for it. And he sacrificed a lot of stuff. You know, he sacrificed from you know going some of the ball games that we had growing up, or you know not living in the nicest house and you know, the way my dad was raised, man, he was raised pretty poor, and my grandparents, my dad's mom and dad, they never owned their own house. And my dad told my grandfather that the first amount of money he ever made, that he would buy them a house, and they wouldn't have to worry about making you know payments or rent or whatever. And man, that was the first thing my dad did when he made enough money is he went out and bought my grandparents a house, and he told them that they never had to worry about a roof over the head ever again. So, you know, he had that in mind, man. That's just what he wanted. And so I feel like I got that from a very young age of seeing that, you know, you go for something that you can reach and, give it all you got. If it works out, it works out. If it don't, it don't, you know?
And what makes you, what gives you that type of confidence to know? Because some people, like he said, some people might shoot for things that are out of reach, and then there's some people that don't know that certain things are out of reach. You know, like me and Travis are a part of a group on Facebook, right? It's called what is it? Adaptive Sports and Resources, Travis.
Yes.
And I did a poll the other day to see where the community stands as far as basketball is concerned, because that's what the sport that I used to play was basketball. And I was like, I put up a poll to see where the community stood with it, to see how many played wheelchair compared to stand up, and I found out that there's way more athletes and people out there that played in wheelchair than stand up. And I was talking to a few people and talking to a few of my friends, and I was like, "Is what I did was it that rare?" Um, like the people that I've seen around my life that have had disabilities that were able to play stand up, are they that rare? So a lot of people might shoot for things because um, like if there was somebody that was in that group that said that they wanted to shoot for the NBA, it's hard to tell somebody that that's not in reach if your environment shows you otherwise. So what makes you know the difference between a good shot and a bad shot, or when something's out of reach and when something's in reach?
Man, it's
For
all
you,
about practice. You know what I mean? Like I don't, when you talk about a good shot, bad shot, like I know what I'm capable of by going out every, once a week, every day, whatever, and shooting, my crossbow, and I know what I'm capable of because I practiced enough to know where my limits are. Um, I tell my son right now, he's 11 and he plays baseball and he watches YouTube and all that stuff on baseball all the time. And his dreams to make the major leagues. And I tell him all the time that, hey man, that's a good goal to have. Like, try to reach that goal. Try to learn as much as you can. Work hard. It takes practice. It takes trying to figure out how to get to that point, but you can't get upset whenever if it doesn't work out. Like you give all you got, and there's no guarantees on something like that because there's such a small amount of people that's ever going to make it. But somebody's got to make it. Somebody's going to make the major leagues. Somebody's going to make NBA. Somebody's going to make NFL. I mean, people are going to make that. So why not it be you? Why not work hard enough to try and give it all you got and get all the resources you can find, meet all the people that you can meet, and go for it. Try it, and give it a whirl. I mean, that's the thing is, I tell people even being a good prosthetic user or being good at anything that you do, it's not something that's just given to you and you go on with it. Everything that we got in life, we got to work for, there's nothing that's going to be given to us. So, practice makes perfect. It's what you always hear, and believe in yourself and have that faith that I tell you about. And you also got to know in the back of your mind that, sometimes it may not work out. You know what I mean? I mean, you might think that, that your goal or what you want to do in life is what you want, and that might be the way it's going to work out, and it might not, and you got to be open-minded to see kind of what happens. I mean, I used to work construction. My dad owned his own company. My whole goal, my whole life, I was going to, take over his business. I was going to run this company. I was going to be the owner whenever he's ready to retire. Dude, we sold the business and I'm doing something totally different. And, I tell people all the time that when I was in college, I failed public speaking and now I do it all the time. So like, I have a story to tell. And the reason I failed public speaking is because I didn't care. And I knew that was not what I was going to do the rest of my life. Well, guess what? God had a different calling and I've noticed that, and I opened my mind to it. And I was like, hey, you know what? I knew that I'd never do this, but this is what he wants me to do. And I have a story to tell. So you know what? I'm going to do what the doors he's opened up for me, and I'm going to give it a whirl, man. And if it works out, great. And if it don't, I'm going to tell people that I tried. Just like this book, the book I wrote, everybody wanted me to write this book. And a lot of people was like, man, it costs a lot of money to write a book. You'll never sell that many books, like even whenever I started thinking about how many copies I needed to get copied, I was telling people like, how many copies should I get? And they were like, man, I mean, you'd be doing good if you sell 200. And then I was like, well, I think I can do better than that. I'm going to get 750 of them. I'm going to see what happens. And I've only had my book out for a month, and I haven't even really tried to push it. It's not on Amazon yet or anything like that. So it's all been word of mouth, and I've already sold 600, 650. I mean, man, you just got to try, you just got to believe in it and go.
All right.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta have faith in yourself and just step out there. Just step out there and just know that you're gonna make it. No matter what nobody says to you or about you. You gotta have faith in yourself and faith in God.
Yep. Absolutely. And you got to understand that I would much rather tell somebody I tried and it didn't work out than I would like to say I don't know if it would had or wouldn't had because I didn't try,
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Now, with you being a hunter, and I know this is the Adaptive Athlete Pod, to like just being coming in and tell your story. But it's a sport, correct?
hunting is a sport, absolutely. I mean, yeah, for sure. And actually, hunting is a really big industry. I mean, there's a bunch of people that are in the hunting industry, and I've had the great opportunity to be involved with some of the companies that, like 10 Point Crossbows. I mean, I get to work with them and shoot their stuff. And, that's a huge company. I've done a lot with Realtree, and a lot of people, it really don't even matter if you don't even hunt. If, I'm sure most people's heard of Realtree Camo. They're based out of Georgia, so I've got to meet a lot of them. And then there's a lot of hunting celebrities that are out there, or people that were in a different type of industry. Like Trent Cole, he was he played for Indianapolis Colts, and that's what he does now. He goes out and he's got his own hunting show. Aaron Lewis with Stain, now he's Aaron Lewis Country Music, but then he used to be rock. I mean, he's got his own show. Chipper Jones, Major League Baseball player, he's got Major League Bow Hunters TV show. Jeff Danker, Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan, Tombo Martin, he played the major leagues. Man, I mean, the list go on and on and on. I mean, there's all kinds of, Scottie Pippen, he hunts all the time. He's sponsored by, what's it called? It's a shooting house, man. Oh, Redneck Blinds. Like, he did a lot with them. And so, I mean, there's all kinds of people in all kinds of different walks of life that hunt now, man,
Industry. That's very interesting. So my thing would be, I know we talked off camera about it, but hunting is not necessarily a competitive thing, is it, right?
No, not really. I mean, I guess it can be. I mean, some people want to try to, there's competitions in local areas of, you put a certain amount of money in, and whoever kills the largest whitetail or the largest buck or turkey or whatever win the pot. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of that stuff that goes on in the hunting community. But most people that hunt, they also shoot competitive archery, win targets. And man, there's a lot of scholarships you can get shooting archery. I mean, you can win some big money if you want to shoot archery too, you know, and travel doing that. So yeah, there's most people that shoot archery hunt too.
Have you tapped into that before?
I haven't so much. Just I never did it before. You know, it's a little bit of traveling and moving around. And will I ever do it? I mean, yeah, I probably would. You know, I mean, I would if I seen something come up, and I would try it out. You know what I mean? Like I would like to show people what I'm capable of for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, even in the Winter Olympics, they ones that they have to ski and
They have archery.
shoot. They have to ski and shoot.
Yep.
After skiing all that time, you have to hold that gun or that bow still.
Yep.
I tell you something, it's very hard. You're in
Absolutely.
the cold too.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, that's amazing, man. This is all new to me, so if I get quiet here and there, and Travis, it's just because I'm just amazed at the fact that like this is a real a thing. I think I've always knew it was a sport.
Yep.
I didn't know that it could be this interesting. I was one of those casual people that when they heard about people hunting, it was like, there ain't no way that be exciting, but coming from what you said is very exciting. So
it takes a lot of work, man. It does. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time. And, you know, I tell people, you know, deer season's only, you know, a few months, but it takes, you know, year round, man. You know, you try to, you know, give them all the minerals and everything they need to be healthy and, you know, feed and food plots and finding their patterns. And I mean, there's a lot of work to it for sure.
Okay, so my next thing, we kind of did it with if you can tell somebody that was in our situation or just going through something in life. My next thing that I would like to ask you is, say you're talking to your son, or let's say you see a young person that is upper amputee, right? Just any type of disability right now that wants to pursue a particular sport or wants to become an athlete. But because of the narrative that is around disabled athletics, what would be the thing that you would say to that child to keep them motivated to keep going?
Man, I mean, it depends on what they were doing, you know, whatever sport they were doing. But I think if you look up resources, you can find somebody that's in the same type of situation, that's going through the same thing that you can reach out to. You know, one of the biggest groups that I know of is the CAF, which is Challenged Athletes Foundation. I've done a lot of work with the CAF in California. And man, I went to an event one time where it was all upper, lower limb amputees, and there were thousands of people there, man. I mean, it was unbelievable. There was kids that were, you know, 3-4 years old with prosthetic legs running in races and triathlons. And I mean, blew me away, man. There is literally, I mean, you think about like a Bethany Hamilton, you know, that surfs. I mean, I think you look at Sam Matagi, you know what I mean? Sam Wada, you know, Sam, y'all had Sam on. So, you know, he plays basketball. So there's you a basketball guy. Man, I know photographers that are amputees to, you know, playing football and soccer. And I just seen on the news, there was a boy that hit a couple home runs in a high school game that was born without an arm. And he swings the bat one-handed. I mean, you know, archery, like there's a guy that shoots archery that was born without arms, all the way at his shoulders. I've been involved with, bilateral arm amputees that are bowling. Me and Sam actually went to Houston, Texas last year and was in a bowling competition with, I don't know, there was probably 7, 8 of us that had no arms that was out there bowling. Like, I did a celebrity softball tournament not long ago in Dallas, Texas, and I had a glove made and an arm to hit the bat, to hit a ball with, and an arm to catch or throw the ball with. Man, they there's upper extremity, and that's what I look at more than anything. But there is companies out there that make everything for upper limb. I mean, to play pool, to throwing footballs, to go fishing, kayaking. I mean, dude, there's people that do everything. So there's always a resource out there. I don't think there is anybody out there that's going to reinvent the wheel, man. There's somebody out there probably already does it. You just got to do your resources and find them and be willing to talk and be willing to work hard for it and figure out how you can do it.
Okay. One thing that go ahead, Travis.
So what you're saying is no matter what you face in life, no matter what nobody tells you, no matter how you think, if you believe it, you can achieve it if it's attainable.
Absolutely.
That's what you're saying, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
One of the things that I like to talk about on this show is me, Travis, Sam, we all, my other friend that knows me and Sam, Jamel, we all sat back. Every once in a while, we talk about the day that adaptive athletes can have their own like NBA, MLB, NFL type of situation where our players can start being considered professional and being paid like an actual professional athlete.
Yep.
To that, what would be your perspective?
I feel like, I feel like the disabled community of the amount of people that want to do a specific sport is probably harder to find. I don't know if you're going to have a group of people and enough people in every state, and you think about the major league baseball, how many teams, you got Atlanta and New York, Chicago, St. Louis. You got all these places. So, can every state have enough of those players to do that? That'd be the only issue. I don't know if it would be that they really couldn't do it. I think it's having enough that are willing to do it and wanting to do it, and that goes back to, these podcasts and talking to people like us is having that attitude and not caring to share your story. Look at how many, I meet them all the time. How many upper limb amputees that I've met that does not want to share what happened to them, that does not want to be in the public eye or does not want to be seen because they're embarrassed. And I think if we could ever get away from, I'm not embarrassed of who I am. I'm happy to be who I am. But those that are embarrassed, when they hear people like us sharing our story and living our life to the fullest, and we can get them to open up about their own life, man, I think that's all it takes. I think it's just such a small community of people that have set their mind to know that we're different and be okay that we're different.
Yes. And I have Jason Koger's information scrolling, his Facebook, Twitter, website scrolling across the bottom. I would say go and find out about this man. Go and find out his story. Because his story may give you the strength and the power to overcome. His story may give you what you need to push through the hard times.
Yep.
And again, his book is Handed a Greater Purpose. And you see it on the screen.
It's on my website too. They can get it off my website. And I will add one thing is I don't want people thinking that since I've achieved it that they can't, or that I'm better than them, or I'm better than anybody on that's listening or whatever, because I'm not. I'm a normal person that had a vision of overcoming, and I set my mind to do what I do, and other people can do it. And that's the main thing. Like, don't let people think that they cannot do what I've done. It's possible. And I think Sam could tell you too. I told Sam one time that if I can make him better than me, I'm willing to do that. And there's a lot of people out there that don't want that. They don't want them to take their limelight. They don't want them to take something that they do because it's made them a better person. You know, for example, I mean, there is a guy I know that's a bilateral arm amputee that's an actor, and he gets angry when other people get jobs because he feels like he needs to be the only person in the world to do the acting. And, you know, I've met people that feel like they're better and they don't want somebody to take their shining light. And I'm totally different. I'm more than willing to help people find their way. And man, if it takes me helping them and they end up being better than me at something, hey, guess what? At least I helped them get there.
Yeah, cool.
Right.
And what's your last word to our listener audience? What's your last word?
Never quit.
That's right. That's right. Don't give up. It's called a don't give an hour. So you got it. You got it. Don't give up on your dreams, your hopes, your visions. Don't give up on them.
Yep. Just keep moving.
I like to give a shout out to my man Sylvester's Instagram is Adaptive Athlete POD. I give a shout out to him.
Adaptive Athlete Pod.
On Instagram.
On Instagram, follow us on there. You just heard my friend Jason just tell y'all, don't give up. Don't quit. Travis, the name of the show is Don't Give Up Hour. And as an adaptive athlete, my last verse is keep grinding.
That's right.
Keep grinding.
That's right. And
I appreciate y'all having me on too.
Yeah, we thank you too, man. It's been great. And you can see and hear this podcast on don'tgiveupmovement.net. The podcast videos, the podcast is all on there. I come up from my one-stop shop. You whatever you want is on there. Whatever you want is on there. So awesome. And I would like to repeat what Jason said. He said, the hard times in your life are not meant to break you, but to make you better.
That's right. That's exactly.
And we're so glad that you were on our podcast.
Yeah.
We thank you so much. Now you know you're part of family now, right?
There you go.
You're part of family now. You part of family now, okay?
That's right.
Hold on, Travis. And with that being said, I gotta give him the same treatment that we gave Sam. Can you think of one or two people that you would like to see on this show, and can you get us in connection with them?
I'll work on that for sure. I got one right in mind, Reggie Shires.
All right.
I'll tell you all about it.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
oh, shoot, my phone went out. Dead.
We still say you. Don't give up on your dreams, hopes, and visions. Keep striving and pushing. Have a great day, everybody, and keep pushing.